come a little closer? All right, so this is the heart. This is a cow heart, so it's very large, so you can see the structures a little bit better. So first you need to orient yourself in the heart, okay? So how do we know top from bottom? All right, the top, where you see all the vessels coming off, this is the top, or what we call the base of the heart. Perfect, okay? So this is the base of the heart. Where it comes to a point, this is the apex of the heart, okay? The base is the top, the apex is the bottom, so it would sit in the chest like this, okay? Or the cow's chest, rather, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so how do you tell front from back? So this is the anterior or the front view. You see this big kind of, it looks like a wing? This is called the auricle. And this vessel right here is the pulmonary trunk. If you see the auricle and the pulmonary trunk, it's the front. If you look at the back, you don't see that, do you? Okay, so this is the back of the heart, the posterior view, okay? All right, so connective tissues. This right here, you can come around on this side if you want. So everyone see this flap that has been cut away? This is the pericardial sac, or what's left of it. So at one time, it encapsulated the entire heart, but we've cut it away. So this is the pericardial sac, the tough connective tissue that protects the heart, okay? If you touch the heart, the outside of the heart, if you just touch it, what you're touching is the epicardium, okay? So this is the epicardium, connective tissue that's directly adhered to the heart. Looking at the front of the heart, the anterior view, the ventricles would be right below the vessels. Sorry, the atria. Ooh, atria would be right here towards the top. Ventricles would be down here towards the apex. So think V ventricles. Okay? All right. We're going to open up the heart. All of this thick muscle that's surrounding the cavities being the holes, the cutout areas, this is all myocardium. Myocardium meaning the muscle. It's the muscle that actually contracts and pumps the blood. This is all myocardium. Lining the cavities. Do you see how it's much smoother? The tissue that's lining the cavities is much smoother. This is endocardium, which is continuous with endothelium. Okay? How do you tell left from right?
Muscular? The thickest?
Yeah, the left is thicker. So can everyone see that this and this, they're clearly two different sizes. This side is much larger than this side, and it has thicker myocardium. So this would be the left side of the heart, this would be the right side. Okay, left side deals with pumping blood to the entire body, whereas the right side deals with pumping blood just to the lungs. Perfect, okay? All right. In between the two sides of the heart, this is what we call the interventricular septum. How do you know, if I put a pin right here, how do you know I mean myocardium or interventricular septum?
Which structure? Is the way you ask it.
Yes, I will, exactly. So what I'll do is I'll put a note card next to the side and I'll say, what is this structure? If I say, what is this structure, I mean interventricular septum. If I say, what is this tissue, it would be myocardium, okay? So it's the way I ask the question, all right? So let's start with the flow of blood. We'll go through that. All right, you can't see pulmonary veins. They're off to the side, but they've been cut away. So you don't need to identify it on this heart. But if it's present on the model, you do have to identify them, okay? So let's start with oxygenated blood from the lungs, okay? So we have oxygenated blood. Hey guys, hey everybody, could we lower the voices just a little bit so everyone can hear me up here? Just a little bit, still talk. Yeah, I want y'all to talk. All right, so we have oxygenated blood from the lungs. It needs to get to the heart and to the rest of the body. Oxygenated blood from the lungs will travel through pulmonary veins and be emptied into the left atrium, okay? Up here is the left atrium. Can you see okay? Okay, left atrium. All right, so the left atria will contract. It will push blood. I think she might have a hard time seeing. Can you see? Okay. All right. I don't want you to not be able to see.
Can you point to it again?
Left atria up here. Okay. All right. So left atria. If it's above the valves, it's atria. Okay. If it's below the valves, it's ventricles. So left atrium up here. Atria will contract. Blood will be pushed down and through the mitral or the bicuspid valve. Here are the flaps of the valve. The bicuspid valve, like the tricuspid valve, they have chordae tendineae, which are the strings. It's what anchors the valve down. and the chordae tendineae will be anchored to what's called a papillary muscle, okay? So if I have a pin right next to where the chordae tendineae is anchored, papillary muscle, okay? So oxygenated blood will go through the bicuspid valve into the left ventricle. The left ventricle will contract. Blood will be pushed up and out through the aortic semilunar valve, which you can't identify on here, but you can identify on the model, through the aortic semilunar valve, and then up and out through the aorta. So see where the probe is coming out? Right off the top, like the very central, this is the aorta, okay? From the aorta, through arteries, arterioles, capillary beds. At capillary beds, oxygen will be released, CO2 will be picked up, nutrients will be exchanged, and what is now deoxygenated blood will come back through venules, and then veins, and then back to the heart. If it's deoxygenated, so we have to go to the back of the heart. If it's deoxygenated blood from below the heart, it's going to enter in through the, I gotta find it, inferior. So think below the heart, inferior, right? So through the inferior vena cava. If it's deoxygenated blood coming back to the heart from above the heart, it will enter in through the superior vena cava. So inferior because it's kind of below, superior because it's a little bit more above, okay? Inferior, superior, and I know they're the vena cava, my fingers are touching. So when y'all put gloves on and y'all are looking at this, your fingers will touch. Inferior vena cava, superior vena cava. If it's deoxygenated blood coming from the actual heart, so through coronary circulation, it will come to this structure right here, which is kind of brown, a little more brown, but right next to the vena cava, this is the coronary sinus. So remember, the heart needs blood itself, right? The heart is made up of cells. Cells need oxygen and nutrients. So the deoxygenated blood from the heart itself will go into the coronary sinus. Deoxygenated blood from the inferior, superior vena cava and coronary sinus will enter into the right atrium. So this one is kind of hard to see, but all of this above the valve, it's very small, is the right atrium, okay, right here. So deoxygenated blood is in the right atrium. The atria contract, blood will go down through the tricuspid valve. Tricuspid valve has chordae tendineae. Chordae tendineae are anchored to a papillary muscle. Through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle. Okay? Right ventricle will contract. Blood will be pushed up and out through the pulmonary semilunar valve. You can't identify it on this. You can't identify it on the model. Okay? So through the pulmonary semilunar valve, through the pulmonary trunk, which is this vessel right here. From the pulmonary trunk, it's going to go to the lungs. It's going to pick up more oxygen, drop off CO2, exchange nutrients, and then it's going to come back to the heart through pulmonary veins, and we are back at the left atrium where we started. Okay? That is complete circulation. Okay. All right. That's what you need to know.
God.
Okay. What group